Hello, dear listener and viewer, and welcome to quite possibly the last ever ABW Live, because quite frankly, none of us like football anymore. We have been we've been Emery'd for the third season in a row. He's ruined our season. But on the plus side, we've now going to be playing football on Saturday afternoons, and Thursdays we can go out and do what we want. Go for a lovely, calming walk in the countryside. Talking of lovely, calming walks on in the countryside, it's the man who every day puts very uplifting, calming, lovely pictures of him out on a stroll. It's Mr. Carpenter. Hello, Cheeky.
Hello, my love. Sorry, on a stroll, my body would say very different. I would suggest they are not strolls at all.
Oh, you do both, though, don't you? When it's the dog, it's a stroll.
Oh, yeah,
and when you're sweating like Jimmy Savile at a school fete, it's a run.
That's probably fair. Yeah, the latter yesterday. Hey, I wish I'd have gone for a run this evening, Dani.
I wish I had as well.
Off a fucking cliff.
Make that three of us.
So I do love the Paddington Bear trousers you had on today. Brought back old memories of the 70s.
They are spectacular.
I often say that if I could fit into if I could be prized into a suit, I would wear that kind of suit all the time. Full three-piece, wherever I go. Like those African gentlemen, they've got no money, they live in villages and they are all dressed up. There's a name for them where they've all got really dapper suits on and bowler hats and walking stick, canes and nice shoes.
Legends.
They did the Guinness advert.
I know the guys you mean, yeah.
Those men have style. Talking of style, it's a man who is wearing yet another fake, dodgy Arsenal kit. Where'd you get that from, for fuck's sake?
This is
It's
a sweatshirt from somewhere called Football Town. It's called the Cannon. I thought it might bring me luck tonight, but no, it brought me dog shit.
How are you, Richard? Nice of you to join us.
Fuck it, yeah. I'm great, Dani. It's nice to see you two lovely fellas, but
don't lie.
Shit.
Oh,
yeah.
Lordy,
I can't believe I cut the girls' training session short tonight, raced home so I could watch that utter pile of. Well,
people thought I was on the same old Arsenal podcast today with Craig and Cookie, we call him Cookie, but it's James, and Chris with a small C, and we're having a good old chat. And I was doom and gloom the whole time. And a friend of mine, Pizza Gooner, I was trying not to give away her real name. She messaged me and said, "What do you think the score's going to be?" I said, "It'll be we'll score early on, and then they'll get a 95th minute penalty." Well, I was partly wrong. I was completely wrong. But either way, I knew we wouldn't go through. Chris, should we talk about what you could be doing your Thursday nights now, and what you'll be doing on Sundays? Now there's no football, or should we just talk about the game?
I'm going to watch back-to-back series of peak practice and have a big wank.
Oh, sheep.
Anyone who doesn't get that reference, you're a horrendous human being and you need some taste. No, I mean, that's the positive, isn't it? I mean, we can, we can have our Thursdays back. I mean, to be honest, the way Arsenal are playing at the moment, I'll be busy Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I won't be watching any of this. No, I just won't. I won't even bother for that. Because the way I look at it is Arsenal can't be bothered, so I'm not sure I can be bothered. That's kind of how I feel. That's a little bit harsh. We'll come on to how I really feel.
It's not a little bit harsh.
I mean,
it's very apt.
Some of them care, maybe. I mean, that's probably unfair. They all care. They're professionals, but they're not being coached very well. We'll certainly come on to that in a minute. But yeah, I mean, yeah.
I have made notes.
You've made notes.
Let's start out with a positive. Xhaka got injured and Tierney started. So I thought, well, that means we're going to be good. I'm going to go and highlight people's messages from the beginning of the show. But yeah, did that fill you full of confidence when you realised, we won't be playing Xhaka at left back, so we're playing Tierney? This is probably going to be a good game.
Well, I didn't even know because I got the I actually went out to vote. I know me really. I went out to vote and got back in, and I only got the team news on my phone, and I refused to watch the build up because, as much as I adore and would probably shag Freddie Ljungberg, I just can't actually bring myself to watch the build up and all that dross. I just can't. So so I never watched the build up. I just tune in for kickoff now. So I got the team news on my phone, and then I saw the camera cut straight away, like into the crowd, and there's Granit Xhaka looking like Bane with his mask on, and I was like, I'm sure he was in the lineup, and I had to go and check the app to double check I wasn't wrong, and then obviously I went on the wonderful world of social media and found out that he was injured in the warm up. So. Yeah, as much as I'm not his biggest fan, you don't want to see any players out injured. But the one thing that that it did give us was a 23% fit Kieran Tierney, I want to say, if that, which is and it showed, didn't it, towards the end? But fair play. He's one of the bright spots, so we'll keep him in the good pile. But I did wonder if maybe. Stupidly, we would look back on this and go, "Oh, the best thing that happened was that Arteta had to play Tierney because Xhaka was injured." But obviously, that never came to pass. So
True, Richard. Could you make head nor tail of the lineup when it came out? Because me, Craig, Chris, and James, we come up with about 5 different formations from that when the lineup was announced. What did you think? What did you hope for, and what did you just think was probably going to happen? Because we hoped for one thing, and another happened.
Well, to be fair, very similar to Chris. Like I said, unfortunately, I was at training tonight, and then when I got home, I raced home, and then I had to quickly go and vote before count bin face, and I had to vote before the game started. So I'm trying to watch it on my phone, and I'm seeing the lineup kind of thing, and it's got Xhaka in. The app I had, it had Xhaka in at left back, and then I'm hearing the commentary saying, "Oh, it's good that they got Tierney back," and blah 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 blah. So I was kind of mystified, kind of thing. I mean, I would have liked to have seen Tierney at left back to start, but I mean, just coming off like a really, a serious injury kind of thing. I really wanted Xhaka in midfield with Partey. I think it's making Partey look bad. Just making him be a one-man fucking midfield on his own. It's not playing to his strengths. It's dropping him in. Like the commentators were digging him out all night, and I know he didn't have the greatest game, but like some of the hospital balls he was being given, the fact that he's so isolated, it was ridiculous. I really wanted Cedric to start, mainly because their right winger, forgive me, I can't remember his name, and I don't want to butcher it or make a...
Yeah.
He's 21. What a prospect that kid is. Playing on the right with his left foot. Sounds familiar.
Oh, yeah. That was the thing, because... he had pace about him, and he kept on coming inside onto his left foot and doing Xhaka, and I didn't want that to happen again. That's why I wanted, same in the first leg, I wanted Cedric there, a bit like how Ainsley Maitland-Niles nullified Mahrez in the semi-final, FA Cup semi-final last year, because every time he would come onto his left foot, he's coming onto Cedric's stronger foot. But obviously, like that didn't happen. But it was just so bizarre, the game. It was just so, you would have thought, and I'm not saying they weren't up for it or anything like that, but you would have, this was our season. In 90 minutes, this was our season, and we were just so conservative for far too long, and it drove me insane.
Someone, Josh Page liked your pants, Chris. That's the highlight of your day, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I make no bones about the fact I have very limited fashion sense, and what fashion sense I have is very much my own. But what I say to people who don't like it is, fuck it, I don't care. So, yeah.
So I'm just wondering, who was your, normally just at the end of the show, who was your man of the match and who was the worst player on the pitch? For me, man of the match, for us, Pepe, by a country mile, followed by Leno, who was put in so many dodgy positions, and our worst player, Partey. I know he had fuck all support because he had Odegaard and Smith Rowe, both of them wanting to play in the 10, and occasionally one drifting back to help him. So he's having to get the ball from the defence, pass the ball to himself in midfield, do a 1-2 of himself, then give it to someone else. Completely outdone. But if the manager couldn't see what was going on, but you had a terrible game. And absolutely, I'm just having a look at the stat on the thing. Partey got a 7. According to who scored, our worst player was Odegaard of a 6.3, and our best player was 7-1, Pepe 7-2, and Leno 7-4. Oh, Mari an 8.
That surprises me.
I'm not sure about that. Yes, go on. What's yours?
I think firstly on Pepe, I think you're right. I actually think he's really stepped up the past month and a half, 2 months. I think it's the first time in a while. I've always thought he's good enough, but he's flattered to deceive at certain times, and maybe hasn't given us the value that the money we put in. I don't think that's necessarily on him. It's the fact he was, ridiculously priced in the first place. But to credit to him, I think he's been really good and really bright the last few months. But I also think that coincides with the fact that he's had a really good link up with the player both behind him and in particular with Alex Lacazette, and obviously he was missing tonight. So yeah, I agree with you on that one. As regards Thomas Partey, the thing is with Thomas Partey is on his day and in a good team, which we're not, I have to stress, he's a very, very good midfielder. And I still believe he is the midfielder that we've needed for a long time, but he has to have the right partner.
He can't play it on his own. He can't play it on his own. It's
exactly. And for me, Rich, he can't play it with Xhaka because Xhaka is not the partner he needs. He needs what I think he needs. And I don't know if this is ever going to happen because certainly it won't happen under this manager. He needs a player like Emile Smith-Rowe beside him. A player who's intelligent, who will pick the ball up off the back four. He'll pick the ball up in the middle of the park. He'll pick the ball up off the number 10. It's what Jack Wilshere did when he first broke into the side. It's what Aaron Ramsey did when he was fit. It's that ability to take possession in midfield and drive through with it. Partey will do that as well. Don't get me wrong. But, Partey's as box to box as anything. But Partey's the physicality. He's the guy that makes us tick. He's kind of the engine. You need somebody alongside him who's going to take the ball and create and make the movement that opens Partey's sort of positional play up, opens the field up for Partey. He dwells on the ball far too much, but I don't think that's him as a player. I think I would be so frustrated when I've got the ability and the frame and the poise that he's got on the ball. He's a cultured central midfielder. He receives the ball from Leno or from the centre backs, and the poor fucker looks around and thinks, well, what the hell am I going to do with it? Because nobody shows, nobody moves, there's no runs, there's no injection of pace, there's no desire. There's nothing in that midfield area. And what really frustrates me the most is, and this is not just an Arteta thing, we haven't had a midfield since Arsene Wenger left the bloody club. And we barely had one then, bless him. And we haven't addressed the situation. We've had 2 managers since Arsene, and I know I'm not going off on the Arsene train because he was as much at fault as anybody because he didn't enforce that central midfield area. But when your midfield tonight is dominated by a player called Francis Coquelin, who wasn't good enough to play for us, and we sold, you have to ask serious questions. Coquelin played with a cigar and flip-flops on in midfield today. And what did he do? All he did is he patrolled left to right, left to right, left to right. Simple passes. He did what Al Nene does for us, but with a bit more bite, putting some tackles. Meanwhile, Thomas Partey is there firefighting, trying to juggle 14 plates, going, I don't know what to do, guys. And when he loses the ball, let me take that back, not all, some of our idiotic fans go on their little keyboards and go, Thomas Partey, shit, he can't pass. The reason he can't pass, chaps, is because he's got no fucker to pass to. because he's receiving the ball and he's got no options. Now, I don't care if you're Thomas Partey or you're Diego Maradona. Maybe not now, because obviously he's no longer with us, God bless. But
he might do a better job in midfield than some.
Exactly. It doesn't matter if you're Ronaldinho, Neymar, whoever. If you have nobody to pass to and you get caught on the ball because you're trying to hold it and you're waiting, you're begging for somebody to open up and demand the ball. And the only two players in our team that constantly demand the ball are Emile Smith-Rowe and Bukayo Saka, both of which tonight were completely isolated, both in the wrong positions, and both asked to play roles that they're not accustomed to playing because it was all just congested, this big ball of shit in the middle. I'm going to take a breath there, but it's just so frustrating to watch.
Oh, no, Chris, have a lay down. Have a wafer thin mint and a lay down. Rich,
I will.
We saw Arteta experiment in the first leg where he decided, strikers, don't need strikers. I've seen Pep do that. No, that false 8, 9, 10 thingy, Bob. And then today he went, a central midfield partner for Partey. We've got Elneny, who had a magnificent game against Newcastle for a player of a limited ability, but what his limited ability is still bloody good. He could have done tonight what Coquelin did for them, giving us some rigidity in midfield, playing two number 10s that are taking it in turns to metronome from 10 to 4, 10 to 4. Would you have rather seen Elneny play today? Do you think he could have done a job? Because that's another Arteta experiment that hasn't worked.
Well, you know, obviously I'm biased with my Egyptian brother. But yeah, mate, it didn't work. It was just, and it's so bizarre trying to play that way in a big game when you haven't tried that before. I think like the first leg with the no strikers thing was, I think, more down to the fact that Lacazette blew his hamstring and fucking Aubameyang still had malaria, I think, didn't he? So like it was. I don't understand. It was just he got it wrong again, and it seemingly more often than not. And you know, I've been an Arteta apologist on this pod before, but it's starting to seem like more often than not he's getting things wrong more often than he's getting things right. I know it might sound ridiculously redundant and a bit obvious, but it's just I just don't understand what he was trying to, what he thought was going to happen, kind of thing. And with the formation that he tried to pick, like leaving Partey completely on his Todd. Just the whole of the whole of the performance was just really conservative and slow. Like there was a bit I saw in the first half where Emile Smith-Rowe broke with the ball and he's driving forward, and Pepe is on his outside flank, and he's jogging along with him, and I'm screaming like fucking spitting blood at the TV. Stretch the fucking play, run, give him an option to make a pass in behind the defense. Do something. And it was time and time again. I'm absolutely sick of watching this Arsenal side get the ball in midfield and then turn back around. It's so slow. It's so one-paced. Yeah, I mean, like I said, having Elneny in there, the old Egyptian Perlo, you know, it worked well against Man United. Having having that kind of more mobile person in with Partey as well, you know, helping him kind of easing the pressure and offering another pass for Pepe, because the amount of times they would pass the ball into Pepe, and Pepe swarmed with 3 players all on top of him, and it's just Jesus Christ! It was.
He did that in the middle of the first half, in the middle of the pitch. He took it around about 3 or 4 players, took it back again, and there was still nobody there supporting him. Partey would probably dare not go forward, because if Partey decides to go forward and make a run, the back four are completely exposed. And we saw Chris especially in the first. Bellerin in the second half was much better, but in the first half, playing out from the back, giving it to the right hand side, Bellerin and Holding. 3 times I counted where they went, I'm not quite sure what to do here. Ping pong, give the ball away. They have a chance to score. Even Villarreal weren't playing out from the back as often as we did when Emery was in charge. It just doesn't work. Why do they keep doing it? It's just absolutely drives us up the wall. It's like he's sticking to his plan no matter what the situation. His plan stays there, and he doesn't alter his plan for the situation until 5 minutes to go. And he went, "Oh, quick, shit! Let's play 9 strikers."
Mm-hmm. I think the playing. Sorry to interrupt. I think the playing out the back kind of thing is because whenever Leno pumps it long, we don't have any physicality in the top half of the pitch, so we lose the ball. We do absolutely fuck all with it when Leno pumps it long because we've got no physical players. Nobody is winning the ball high up the pitch in the air. It just comes. We just lose the ball. It's akin to giving the ball away kind of thing. So I do kind of understand a little bit the playing out from the back. The problem is they do it so fucking slowly. Sorry to interrupt, Chris. I know it was your point.
No, Chris. No, Carl has put a quote here from Arteta on BT. I think over 2 legs, and what happened today in the second half, we deserve to win the game.
I'll come back to that because I want to have a little bit of fun with that one in a minute. But fun being the operative word, not. Yeah, I mean, Richard's right. It's Richard right. It's he wasn't. It's all about the tempo, and it's all about the way you play out from the back. Playing out from the back, people seem to think that playing out from the back is exclusively Spain, Barcelona, where you tap it along the 6-yard box and you play 5-a-side in your own penalty area for 24 hours and then you work it through. You can play out from the back by doing it in a, dare I say it, an Allardyce fashion. You can play out from the back by your goalkeeper simply giving it to your right or left back who are halfway inside your own half. You don't have to play out from the back by playing it inside your own penalty area. This new rule, for a while, it seems like everyone wanted to play out short, and that's what they did. But the difference between Arsenal and a lot of other clubs who tried it and failed is that the other clubs kind of went, you know what, this ain't really working, so we're going to try something else. We're going to do this little thing which Arsenal Football Club seem to have forgotten at all levels of the club. It's called adapting. And we don't seem to be able to or willing to do such a thing. We just will keep banging the same drum over and over and over again. Training must be so much fun for these players because they're just getting told the same old crap time after time after time. And they're not, if they want to adapt, they're not being allowed to, or they're not good enough to adapt. It's one of the two. I don't work for the club. I don't know. But it's one of those two things. And playing out from the back is one of those, like Rich said, you don't always have to just go long. We haven't got an Olivier Giroud. We haven't got a target man. Christ, even Marouane Chamakh would do a job at the moment. But we haven't got that player up front who will hold the ball. So, yeah, I've got no issue with passing, but you have to move the ball quickly. You've got to break the lines. You've got to have it comes back to the Partey thing. The minute that ball leaves the goalkeeper's hands, your central midfield player should be demanding the ball, but your 2 wingers and your 2 fullbacks should also be demanding the ball. As soon as that ball goes out from the goalkeeper, you should have at least 3 options, and they should be sideways, backwards, or forwards. Whereas what we have primarily is 2 backwards, 1 sideways. It is just, to use the old analogy, it's handbrake football. That there's no pressure release, there's no sense of risk for reward in this team, and any time a player does come on and actually try something, he's seemingly dropped, or removed from the squad for a period of time, or not given an opportunity. I mean, what Gabriel Martinelli has to do to start in this godforsaken forward line, I mean, I don't know. I genuinely don't know, because I'm not saying the kid is the second coming of Jesus, but he's not a kid anymore. He's ready. He should be playing games. And what will happen, unfortunately, is that over the summer, probably even as early as this year, his agent will get in his ear and go, Gabby, you're better than this, mate. You know, you're better than this. You might be on a long-term contract, but this club probably needs money. We'll find you a better club. We'll find you somewhere where you can go and express yourself and enjoy your football. And we'll lose that kid. There's no good keeping the likes of Saka and Smith Rowe if you're just going to buy cloggers to play around them, because they're not those type of players. We're not going to get Martin Odegaard back next year. Why the hell would he come back? He can play for any of the top 4 clubs in England. He's not going to come back to us. Why would he? You know, and we're all sitting here as fans saying, you know, well, we need to bring in these players. Who the hell's going to want to sign for us at the moment? You know, we are literally going to be shopping on reputation alone this summer. And I know that's probably for a podcast, that's for another day. But to reinforce this team, we you know, not only are we going to have to sell players that have proven that they're either not good enough or they're not capable enough, and that's to raise funds. And then we got to go shopping with, you know, our dad's credit card, basically, who's given us a spending limit. And by the way, you can only use it in pound stretches. I mean, it's just not good. So sorry, I've gone off on a tangent again there, but yeah, the style of play builds into this whole thing, that the whole way. If you play with urgency and you set the tone and you set the tempo, the opposition have to adjust. The opposition have to think. Villarreal, at no point tonight did Villarreal have to think. At no point did they have to raise their game, and at no point did they panic, other than their goalkeeper being a bit erratic. And how many times did we test him? You know, even that in-game management, put the ball under the crossbar, test him. What did we do? Played around, farted around the edge of the box for 75 minutes. It's got to come from the top. It can't just be the players. I'm sorry. It's got to come from the manager.
Before we go on, a quick thanks to Claudius, who has subscribed for his 4th month on Twitch. Thank you very much, Claudius. That money will go down my pants. It certainly is. If you are new on Twitch, you want to give us your Twitch Prime, you can do. You don't have to. We don't really care. It's nice if you do, though. Got to spend it somehow because it is free. And subscribe if you're new anywhere, if you want, possibly. Carl has got some quotes, Richard. Arteta. I think we were very impressive, imprecise with the ball. Probably we were a bit tense as well. In the second half, I think we were much more dominant and created enough chances in the tie to win it. And there's another one that Carl has purchased. Carl! Arteta, I feel the pressure all the time because I want to do as good as I can for the team. Today is a big disappointment because we tried everything to be in the final. Everything apart from score, Richard.
Oh, God.
Grown Man Cries live on YouTube.
From a certain point of view, I see what he's saying, and that point of view is madness. In the sense of, yes, we hit the post, yes, twice, and yes, Smith Rowe went close, kind of thing, and we had lots of possession for large periods of the game, but there was, I think someone put it in the chat, so all possession, no intent. There was just it was so scary. Like the team was so passive, and unfortunately that Arteta didn't seem to do anything to change that. You know, we were, you know, you could probably say, you know, he wanted to get the first half out of the way. You know, I remember, you know, George Graham said that in famously of the '89 game. You know, everyone wanted us to go gun ho, and because we needed to get 2 goals, and he said, no, keep it tight, 0-0, I'll be happy, kind of thing. And I had that in my brain. That kind of quote in my brain as I'm watching the game. But, you know, as the second half's going, I'm going, okay, now it's time. Okay, now it's time. Okay, now you really need to go. All right, we need to step up now. And then by that time, the game is too late. It's too late. And, you know, again, like I said, I have been an Arteta apologist on this pod, and I do think that there are massive caveats to his tenure with us, and the difficult stuff that he's had to deal with as manager of this club. But my God, how can you not get the team up for a one-off game? How can you? Even after the first half, he said, like I said, the quote of him was, maybe he was a little bit timid. You need to change that. That's what you're paid for. That's what you're in the job for. To when things are going bad, to turn these things around. And you know, he's not doing it, and I'm rapidly, and like I said, I've been an apologist for him for a long time, but I'm rapidly losing faith in his ability to adapt in games. That's the biggest thing. Chris said it earlier, is to adapt. We are not adapting, and it's a fucking massive summer ahead. It is a massive summer ahead for Arteta and the team.
I think, Chris, tonight's game is summed up by the penalty, the corner taken by Willian on the right hand side as we were looking at the pitch. It went all the way over everybody and landed at the feet of one of their players. That for me sums up Arteta's Arsenal.
And in the last 5 minutes, the person who had the two shots on goal was Hector Bellerin. Yeah,
because second half, great crossing.
He was the only one to take responsibility and try and get a shot in. It's like Rich said, you know, and I know we'll probably keep coming back to the manager because, you know, you're gonna in a night like tonight. And I said, I remember doing the podcast with you a few weeks ago, and I said our season, this is before the quarterfinal, and I said the minimum that he has to do is get us to that final, and he's failed. Like whatever you think, and you know me, Dani, like, Christ, we've known each other for too long now. You know, even when Arsene was on the way out, I defended him to the hilt because I could always see what he was trying to do. The poor old bugger was, you know, he was flogging a dead horse at the end, and I think, you know, he probably did stay on a year and a half too long, but you could see what he was trying to do. And if you spoke to anybody in the street and you said, "Oh, I'm an Arsenal fan," they go, "Oh, I do like the football you play." You know, because it was good. It was good to watch, and it was a bit reckless abandon. And as a fan, you know, we were all watching through our fingers because we would be 2-0 up, or in some cases 4-0 up at Newcastle, and we could bloody see what was coming. You know, we were like the real life version of FIFA. You know, the DDA was kicking in, and we'd be pushing 5 men up front, even though we were 4-0 up. You know, we were naive back then, but it was bloody fun. It was enjoyable, and not every game. Towards the end, it really wasn't enjoyable. But I think that was more to do with what was going on behind the scenes as much as anything else. But where we are right now is just, it's not enjoyable. I think Mikel Arteta has been really lucky that fans have not been allowed into the stadiums this season. I do agree with Rich. He's had a lot to deal with. You know, not least being, I think, one of the few managers. Was he the only one who contracted COVID? It's certainly one of the few. And when it all kicked off,
game,
and let's not forget, you know, it's the call when the Man City game where this all kicked off was as a result of him, you know, getting the virus. So he's had a lot to deal with. But as I was having a debate with Tom on Twitter earlier on, Thomas Tuchel's had quite a lot to deal with, and he's got Chelsea to a Champions League final, an FA Cup final, and a top 4 finish in less than 6 months. Now, I do agree he's probably got a better squad than ours, but he took over a Chelsea side that were a joke under Lampard. They were an absolute joke. He's also taken on a Chelsea side that can't score goals with their centre forwards, but he's got a tune out of all of those players. He laid the law down straight away with Calum Hudson-Odoi and said, "You're shit, you're not good enough. You'll only play when I tell you to." And the player came back stronger. And then he went off form, so he dropped him and he brought in another player. He brought back players like Alonso and like Azpilicueta who were finished. And meanwhile, our manager has got the midfielder he wanted in Partey. He got the striker that was gonna send us, you know, gonna kick on this season. The guy that he built the relationship in Aubameyang. He got that contract done. He got that. He got the players that he wanted in Pablo Marie. It was no secret that he wanted Martin Odegaard. There was other players, wasn't there? He got the players out that he wanted to get out. All of these things that people say, oh, the board and they do this and they do that. Mikel Arteta got everything he asked for. Everything. And he's underperformed. And he's not done his job, in my mind, to the standards he should have done. And is it all his fault? No, absolutely not. But people talking about the summer and all that, like, do you trust him right now to go and get the players we got? Because right now, for me, and I'll end on this point, is if you give him an open checkbook now, the way he's managing the club at the moment is he'll go into the Mercedes dealership and he'll come out with a fucking Fiesta. That's what will happen because he's throttling these players, and we're going to lose these players. It's not a coincidence that our best players are all underperforming, all of them. Even Saka of late hasn't been the player he has been, and albeit played a lot of games, but our top earners and our top level players haven't performed under him. And personally, and again, this is just my opinion, I don't think the players believe it anymore. I don't feel like those players have the buy-in anymore, and I don't think they're convinced. I think they were, and I think that FA Cup has a lot to answer for because we all, me included, got very carried away. But I think as time's gone on, I don't think those players trust him anymore.
Rich, Chris brought up a good point there about Tommy Tickles coming in, a manager we could have had, Pep we could have had, Kloppo we could have had. I'm thinking of 3 occasions where Chelsea have had a bad start to the season. They sacked, I think, Jose, and then they got in Di Matteo, won the Champions League. They sacked someone, and then they brought in Rafa. They won the Europa League. They sacked Lampard, brought in Tommy Tickles, and now they're in the Champions League final, which they're not going to win. But it shows does that show that we should have possibly looked at getting rid of Arteta sooner, or do you think the people who make those decisions are not really bothered because someone put in there that we got 16 million for making the semi-final of the Europa League, and all the club cares about is money? Is it as simple as that?
No, I don't think so. I think it's no thing that Tuchel is a very, very good manager. And the Chelsea team, even the ones that were doing dog shit under Lampard, was a much better squad than we had. It showed last year in the final when they absolutely battered us in the final. They are, as much as it pains me to say it because I can't stand Chelsea, they are a much better team and squad than us. So even I don't see the correlations between the two that much, as in how well. Yes, he's done phenomenally well, kind of thing. He should be doing well. He's a very, very good manager, experienced manager with a lot of talent at his disposal at Chelsea. How much money did Lampard spend in the summer? It was to bolster a squad that won the Europa League and, like I said, battered us. So I mean, I get Chris's point, but I don't think it's as simple as that kind of thing. But where I do agree with Chris and that is the fact that Arteta has, unfortunately, he has underperformed. And for weeks I have said. The other thing is, us it's getting rid of a manager. There's always money in the pot for Chelsea. There's always, you bring in a new manager. Like I said, it's someone they start doing shit. They can bin him off, sack him, spend that money, give him the money for the rest of his contract, bring in a brand new face, and he can build his new team in an instant, kind of thing. They've got plenty of money to spend. Where we can't do that. It's you sack Emery, then you bring in another manager. He's got to start and get rid of all the players that he doesn't want and bring in his own team, if that makes a sense. And that's the same way again now. It probably it might be a good idea to get rid of Arteta, so that then you've got the next person you've already got rid of a lot of the deadwood, like say the Dani's hashtag Bundesliga bastards. So that now that the new manager, whoever they want to bring in new, will have what Arteta didn't have, a pre-season and a a summer with the team to kind of get set and get refreshed and go again, kind of thing. I was on the cusp, about a month or so. I keep saying it to reiterate it. I was saying, give Arteta the summer. He needs because he didn't get that last summer, did he? He was like, we won the FA Cup, and then I think it was like 2.5 weeks later, if that, we were back playing the Charity Shield and going again in the league. And my thoughts were, give him the pre-season, give him a budget or some money to get in some more players that he wants to do to bolster the squad, rather than loans. The loans for me don't seem to work out, kind of thing. They're not what we should be going for, personally. And then if there isn't significant improvement, if we're still languishing the same sort of shit by November, December, then sack him. But
Chris, don't breathe.
Yeah,
when you breathe, I think you're finished.
Sorry, these last couple of performances have really, really shaken me. Really, really shaken me.
Just before you ask the next question, Dani, I did just want to mention one of the comparison, because Rich has got a point, and Josh brought this point up to me in the chat earlier on as well, and they're both right. Chelsea have got a better squad than us. I'm not disputing that. What I do dispute, however, and I will, politely say this till I'm blue in the face to anyone who disagrees, our squad is not a bad squad. It's just not. There are a lot of very, very good players in our squad. Are there some players who are bog average and, would struggle to get into mid-table squads? Absolutely. Yeah, I'm not denying that. But there's a lot of very, very talented players in our squad. If you take those talented players and you give them their wings and you let them express themselves, we're a different side. And everybody will look at the attacking players. I would also be asking questions of some of the defensive players. We had the best centre-half in the country in Gabriel in August and September. What's happened to him? And I know, I appreciate he had a COVID situation and, maybe didn't come back.
He got injured and then he got COVID, didn't he?
Yeah, which didn't help, but he's just gone. Not been given another opportunity, not been given games, his development's gone completely backwards. I think Kieran Tierney's gone backwards. And again, some of that is injury. I'm not disputing that. But he was overplayed. He was overcooked. He was shot. Calum Chambers has come back in recently, been brilliant. Nowhere near the team tonight. And this is not a knock on, I think Pablo has been very good, but he was very, very poor in Villarreal, gets the start tonight. And the other issue I have with the Chelsea comparison thing, the squad thing, West Ham, talk to me. Have they got a better squad than Arsenal on paper? I don't think so. I don't think there's not many players in that West Ham team that if you just looked at the names and you laid them out, Arsenal players, West Ham players, and you said, okay, here's the squads. David Moyes is a manager of one team. And, Nicolas is the manager of another team. Who would be 5th right now and who would be 10th or wherever the hell we are in the league? I don't even care anymore. Sometimes it's just about getting the basics right. But West Ham have played some pretty decent football this year, to their credit. Am I saying go out and get David Moyes? No, not at all, because he wouldn't suit a club like Arsenal. We proved that at Manchester United. He's a good fit for West Ham. But the point I would make is if you just make small adjustments and you give certain players license, and I'm not the biggest Jesse Lingard fan in the world, but you make smart signings and you say to those players, I know what you're good at, so I'm going to build players around you and I'm going to give you that free license to roam. I'm going to give Mikel Antonio the opportunity just to play games and do what he's good at, which is take chances and run the channels. That's all he is good at. He's a classic workhorse, but he's bloody good at it. But instead, no. We want to play pretty triangles and have fucking defensive coaches and throw in movements and play out from the back and all this. It's a very classic case of manager desperately trying to make an impression and failing. And again, maybe we'll touch on him again in a minute, but there were signs in that game tonight where the camera cut to Arteta and I looked at him and I went, you look like a desperate man. Like, not just frustrated, not just, we might, we're close, like on edge. He genuinely looked desperate. Like, I need us to score because my reputation is on the line here. That really worries me because that comes across as weakness. And Ole Solskjaer looked like that. And what's happened to him? I'm not saying he's the finished article, but he adapted and he evolved and he took that team on. Whereas Arteta is just, I don't think he's willing to change, and I don't think he's capable of change, and that's what really worries me. Because the longer that him and Edu are in each other's pockets, and the longer that everything off the pitch is just status quo, there's no reason to get rid of him. There's no reason to change. And people say, "Oh, who are we going to bring in?" Come on, that's a lazy thing to say. I could give you 100 managers. Just managers that have experience and can manage a squad. A manager that can look at a player like William Saliba and go, this kid's dynamite. He needs to be in this team. Not, I don't know what to do with him. His trainers are a bit bright. He's got a bit of a funky haircut. I'm not sure about that. I'll just ship him off to France and forget all about him because he's not my signing. Nah, no, not for me.
Sorry. I agree with everything you said. Right. Mr. Waffles, who was on a preview show, been a friend of mine for many, many moons. He makes a really good point. Start with you, Chris, and then Rich, you have a go. He says, if you can't get the team that Emery got into the Europa League final and within a few points of the top four of the Premier League into the Europa League spots the next season, how is that anyone's fault but his, Chris?
Completely agree. I
can't argue with it.
It's a failure, isn't it? Like, whatever way you dress it up, it is a failure. To use the classic line, if I go into work and I underperform, I expect to be accountable for my actions. I expect to be told to improve. I expect to be given, clear, concise action plans. If we are serious as a football club, regardless of whether you back or you don't back the manager, he should be in that boardroom tomorrow and answering questions. Unfortunately, he won't be because Stan and Josh will be asleep and they probably won't even know what the result is. Bless them. Daniel Ek will be making money off artists at three quid a fucking 10 year or whatever it is he charges.
As matey boy from the Tuesday Club who does stuff with Fat Boy Slim, they had 1 million downloads of one song. Spotify paid them £4,000 for 1 million. That is a third of a penny.
But it's good PR, Dani. So let's not kill the PR machine. It's great PR, and he's a wonderful man, and the sun shines out of his ass. So that's all good. We're all fine. It'll be fine, guys. We
are on board officially. There you go.
There it is. He won't be accountable, and I think part of the Arteta way. I think that's part of the problem. I don't think he's under pressure, and somebody will dig out the quotes. I'm sure Edu said that, there's the whole trust the process and all this. I'm pretty sure that he came out and said, Arteta's he's in it for the long term, basically, that we're going to build around him. We appreciate it's going to take time, etc. and so on. I tweeted it a few weeks ago. I'll repeat it now. It's not an arrogance thing. It's not an entitlement thing. We are the biggest club in London. Fact. You can have all the Champions League finals you want, Chelsea. You got yourself in the position you got yourself into because you got the owner you have right now. Previous to that, you had cars parked behind your goal, by the way. So let's not pretend that you didn't get where you are because of the investment you got. You did. But have you surpassed us in terms of what you want? Absolutely. Are you a bigger club than Arsenal? God, no. We're still the biggest club in London. We've still got a massive fan base. We've still got huge expectations to meet, and we're not meeting them. So things have to change. So Mr. Waffles makes a really good point, and I can't argue with it.
Richard, thoughts on that, if you have any?
No, I don't. I say it's no. Chris summed it up very, very well.
Sorry, I need to rein myself in here. I apologise for taking over.
No, mate. No. Don't. They're all valid points. If there was something that I could add to it, I would do. But it's just, yeah. It's now. Now I think it's a stick or twist situation. You know, where do you go from here now? Because like you said, whatever which way you slice of it, and there is, I think. You'd be incredibly harsh not to say that Arteta has had some proper extenuating circumstances laid at his door, but he has failed. This season has been an utter failure, and a lot of the stuff has been of his own making. You know, the way he treated Saliba, the treatment of Saliba. Criminal for a fucking player that we spent like what 27 million on, and who is now ripping up the French league. So, you know, the whole thing with Özil, I wasn't Özil's biggest fan at all, but the fact that we played half a season up until I think it was like Boxing Day without a fucking attacking midfielder, yeah, it's just an absolute mess. So who would just put it on you there, Chris? Because you said about you could name 100 managers. I can't because I don't watch as much other leagues as probably you guys do. Who would you bring in? And that's not me saying, oh, who would you bring in? I'm genuinely curious because I know, like say, what Nagelmann's gone now to Bayern. I think his predecessor, is he going to Bayern, isn't he? The German national team. Sorry,
German national team. Yeah, because Flick's going to German national team, and Nagelsmann's going to come into Bayern. Yeah, I mean, I
think maybe the Lille manager or something.
Yeah, I mean, Josh has called it in the chat. I would go with Christophe Galtier at Lille, but. We wouldn't go for a coach like that because he demands too much of his players, and he's one of those managers that he will want to control things on and off the pitch, and he'll want things set up in the right ways. And I actually think that that's very good. I think Galtier as a coach would be brilliant, but I think it would be another Emery situation in that they won't give him the tools that he needs, and that's what worries me slightly there. In terms of other managers, I mean, Allegri is probably going to go back to Juve, so that rules him out. When I say there's hundreds of other managers, I think the main point I'd make about that is there's 100 other managers that have got experience at this level. I'm not 100% saying that whoever you bring in is going to be an instant success, but there are plenty of managers that have got managerial experience and have managed big clubs, you know, and it kind of hurts me a little bit that I'm so down on Arteta because I like the bloke. I do think he's got really good ideas, but it's not working. And sometimes we've said it on this podcast before, and we've said it a number of times over the course of the year. He had no experience. Like, you know, even if you're a fan of Bournemouth, or, you know, when Woodgate went to Middlesbrough, their fans were questioning, why are we taking a manager who's never managed at this level? You know, Wayne Rooney went into Derby. They're on the verge of League One, for Christ's sake. Derby, with the money they've got behind them, because Rooney's not a very good manager. And I know, yeah, all managers have to start somewhere, etc., and so on. But most of the managers that start young have got, you know, have got clubs really well set up for them, and essentially they learn on the job and they come through and they develop quickly and they make steps up through the ranks. They don't just come in at a club the size of ours. You can't have somebody basically doing work experience and give them the keys to the courtesy car and the office to lock up at night. It's madness. You've got formerly knows has actually just read my mind there. Lucien Favre, the former Dortmund manager. The problem with him is that he's not going to play the sort of football that we want to watch. You know, we probably had the right style of manager in Emery, and I don't mean football style, but I mean we had the right style in terms of profile. He was probably the best fit in terms of his experience. But I mean,
we've been trolled by a Villarreal fan Should have stuck with Unai.
Should have stuck with Unai. Do you know the one manager that I would go out and get if I couldn't get Christophe Galtier? The one manager I would make a really big play for. I was talking to Joel Melwar in our group about this. Is the Spain manager? Is Luis Enrique?
We were linked with him before Arteta, weren't we?
Yeah, I think he's got a lot of really good ideas. I think he's a progressive manager. You know, he went through an awful time off the pitch with his sad family circumstances. I think, get him through the Euros. Hopefully Spain, get to the final and then lose to France in hilarious circumstances. That'd be great. But I just think that he's ripe for a big club. And I think, I think he'd be a really good fit for us. And I think he would try and play the right type of football. Personally, that's who I would go with. And if you can't get him, fuck it. Just get Nelson Vivas and let's just have a great time. I mean, that'd be fun, wouldn't it? Simeone's
manager.
He is.
Mexico.
And I tell you what, wouldn't it be hilarious if we finally went off and got bloody Simeone in the summer? Because that seems to be a relationship that's slowly coming to an end at Atletico Madrid. For the record, I don't want him anywhere near our club because you think it's bad watching us now. Christ on a bike. But it would be kind of funny if we finally had him and Nelson Vivas came as coach and Oleg Luzhny did the water bottles and it'd be a right old time, wouldn't it? But
a couple of people suggesting Graham Potter of Brighton, Claudius does, and Cash. Cash is another Cash. Cash Graham, we can't because our Josh has bought a season ticket for Brighton next season.
Why are you so against Graham Potter?
Because him for me is another manager that what he's proven he can do is at Brighton's level. That's it. Like what experience has he got? I'm not for a minute suggesting that Brendan Rodgers is a great pick, by the way. Just going to caveat before I say his name. But he's proven he can win titles. He's proven he can take clubs on. He's proven he can make good signings, and he's proven he can get on with the board. Would I want him at Arsenal? Not personally, no. But he's proven it. Graham Potter has done a really good job in Sweden. I mean, great. And he's done a very good job at Brighton. But when you really look at it, he's got a team playing some quite good football. And they're 16th, 15th? Nah. I just think
that's because they got no fucking strikers. In terms of like XG and chances created,
they got Welbeck, you scumbag.
Wow. Look at our strikers, Rich. I mean, our strikers couldn't get cows out of the banjo half the time. So, no, I just think it would be. I think he'd be a lamb to the slaughter because the trouble is, the minute you get in a manager like Potter, especially if you take him directly from Brighton, is the minute we lose a couple of games, everyone will go, well, why the fuck have we got the guy from Brighton? There won't be a transition period. He's not a glitzy, fashionable manager, is he? And also, he's not. Can you imagine Graham Potter managing some of the egos in our dressing room? He'll be like Bruce Rioch and Bergkamp again. I don't think it.
Very good analogy.
Yeah.
Divian has a question, Richard.
But think of all the Harry Potter puns we could be coming up.
I mean, it'd be good for that. Yeah, it'd be good for that.
Divian's got a question, Richard. If Arteta was sacked today, it's not going to happen. Who would be the interim? For years and years, as Arsenal fans said, we want ex-players on the board. Well, we've got Edu, Arteta, and Mertesacker and Bold. They're all doing fuck all.
Stuart Houston, where is he?
I've actually got a Harry Potter related thing, but you talk about that while I go and get the Harry Potter related thing that I've saved for years.
I would say it probably would be Mertesacker because everyone else or Steve Bold. They would be the interim people for the last four games. So I guess Divian is right. It would be probably Mertesacker. He's head of the academy at the minute, isn't he?
Yeah.
The overall academy. Yeah,
and he speaks so well. Like if he ever thought about being a manager, I'm not suggesting at Arsenal, but the way he comes across is he's got that kind of Wenger thing about him where whenever he talks, I just want to hear him talk. He just comes across so intelligently, and that's probably why he does the role he does because it requires more stuff like that. But yeah, he's a really, really good speaker. So yeah.
Oh, Right.
Have you found it yet, Dani?
No, I should go. I've got a load over the. I've got 30 years worth of Arsenal things that I've downloaded.
While you do that, Andrew's put in the chat. Andrew Angeli. Hope that's how you pronounce it, Andrew. Sorry if it's not. He said.
Agnelli.
Agnelli. Oh, is it Agnelli?
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. Christoph Gauthier
he's been on the show.
Seems like he could handle a long-term project like ours, maybe. 100%, Andrew. 100%. This is a manager who had his best player sold from under him, who's now currently wearing number 19 for us in Nicolas Pepe. He had his best players sold out from under him. And what did he do? He went out and he brought in 4 or 5 different players to fill those gaps. He signed a 35-year-old Turkish international who'd never played European football in the top 5 leagues, who's gone out and absolutely obliterated the league this year and has been brilliant every week. Why? Because he's just let him do what he's good at. He's just played him and said, go out and bully defenders. Go out and be the big, powerful striker you are in Burak Yilmaz. And Lille are 2 wins from the Ligue 1 title. And people are saying, it's only the French league. It doesn't matter what league it's in. If you go into a club and you prove that you can have your best players sold from under you, rebuild them and go again, you're a bloody good manager. And where's he being linked to? Nice, who are, from memory, 9th, 10th in Ligue 1.
Who's the manager of Lille?
Lille?
Yeah. Is he? Would he be a good shout? Because
literally,
not Lille.
who we've just been talking about.
Oh, right. Yeah, I've literally about to say that.
Yeah, but I've been looking for this. Oh no!
For Christ's sakes!
I didn't make it big enough. This you said Harry Potter related stuff. Boom! Look at that. Special. I don't know whoever made that. Congratulations! I've waited 8 years to use that.
There you go. Finally, your time has come. There's probably a lot of good managers in the Bundesliga and in La Liga. Our own Drew would probably be a good person to talk Bundesliga. There's I think Tom still follows La Liga. There's a very good chap who follows La Liga. Oh, I'm gonna have to look him up. I think he's called Gav. I will look him up. He knows his La Liga stuff. He'd be a good person to talk to. I'm sure there's a lot of up and coming coaches in leagues that I don't follow as closely that would be really good to look at and up and coming coaches. But to say there aren't other options, La Liga Gavila is Gav if you want to follow.
Well, one person we can't get is it Ten Hag, who's the Ajax manager, has signed a new deal. I know that one. Yeah. And our Josh said Marcha Gallardo, River Plate. He's leaving River Plate because I've never heard of the person.
He's been linked with a La Liga team from memory. In fact, there's a bit of talk that he might replace Simeone, I think. But yeah, he's got good things being said about him. He's a former Argentine international.
It's just great that we are going to miss out on the Europa Conference League, which I've read on Wikipedia. I finally figured out how it works, and it is an absolute joke of a tournament.
But
should have. Huh?
But is it? Let's ask you a question for a change. Is it? You're. I mean, you're ancient, really. You're that old, but you've seen it all.
Yeah.
You've followed us through the good times of the late 70s, the 80s, and some of the bad times. Were you at Anfield '89? I was. So I was. Rich was.
Sean was there as well. 9 years before she was born.
I mean, I'm sure pretty much everyone in the chat was.
My mum was there. I was there with Wenger.
So Wenger was under my arm. But yeah, you've seen it all. Is it the first time in 26 years we won't be in Europe?
Yeah, it was. I remember when George Graham 94, 95, we got to the Cup Winners' Cup final and lost it. And then he went towards the middle of that season. Stuart Houston took over for the rest of the season. And the next season, we had no European football, which would have been 95, 96, because at the end of that season, last game of the season at Highbury, I'm sure we beat Wigan or someone like that. And who?
Bolton. Bergkamp's 25-yarder, yeah.
Yeah, and then that got us into the right position for the UEFA Cup, and then we got knocked out by Borussia Mönchengladbach, I think the very first game of that. So I'm glad, if you go way back to the very first time I did podcast in 2012, I've always hated European football. I like Premier League football, I like FA Cup football, League Cup football. I hate European football, unless it goes back to 2 legs. If it's 2-leg football, I used to like it, but I like the idea of that. But the way that this other league, in the Champions League, when you finish third in the group, you go down into the Europa League. And now when you finish third in Europa League, you will go down into the Conference League. So you have a load of teams that are made up from the lower ranked FIFA nations. They'll all go into that. And then you'll have the third place from all the Europa League will go into it. And I think it's for some of the cup winners can go into it. So in the old days, it used to be the European Cup would be the best tournament, then the Cup Winners' Cup, because you'd have to win your domestic trophy to get into it, and then the also-rans went into the UEFA Cup, and then they got rid of the Cup Winners' Cup, changed it to the Europa League, and then the Europa League has just been an absolute load of piss. And if big players have been coming out recently and saying the upgrades to the Champions League, they're making it even worse. They're now going to be more group games. We all know that most of the group games are pointless.
There's so many dead rubbers.
Oh, but it makes money.
But then, so on that point, then, so I'll ask you this question, Rich. It's only good that we're out of Europe if we kick on domestically. Are you convinced we kick on domestically just by not having Europe? Because the idea that we aren't doing well in the league because we focused on the Europa League, that only holds water if we're busting a gut every week in the Europa League, and we haven't, have we? I can think of even if you go back to the group stages when we played Atletico Lidl or whoever we had in the group stages, we weren't tested. We weren't tested, were we? And the only time I can think we put in a really good performance was that second leg in the quarterfinals, because even Benfica we limped through. So I mean, are you actually convinced that if we don't have European football, that gives us the platform to kick on domestically? Because I'm not.
Well, statistically, it does, in the sense of most of the teams of those of the quote unquote top six or the top half of the table that don't have European football usually do well in the league because their form in the league is a lot better. It happened with Liverpool. I think the year Gerrard slipped up and they almost won the title. Then it happened with Chelsea. It happened with Leicester. Because you have that entire week to refresh. You're not traveling anywhere. You don't have to. You've got a whole week working for that match day.
Is this under Arteta, or is this you hopefully thinking? Do you think no.
This is statistically of all the other teams. It's happened to multiple other teams. So in theory, it should. In theory, it should.
In theory, playing 5 strikers against Villarreal in the second leg should get you a goal. In theory,
in
the group stages and that, I think we scored. We were like the top goals. We were the top scoring team in the Europa League. I'm fairly certain for like the group stages and stuff like that. But a month ago, I would have said yes. After tonight, mate, I genuinely don't know. Like I said, my belief in Arteta has severely been shaken. But I mean, it should. In theory, it should, because you're not traveling anywhere. You don't have to rotate your squad, and if you don't rotate your squad, you're going to not have players playing every week. So players like Smith Rowe, Saka, who has been run into the ground this season. I think that's why he's had a fairly poor back end of the season. Tierney, where he's had no fucking backup, no other left back in the entire squad, kind of thing. So in theory, we should be, without Europe next season, we should be much more primed to have a run at the top four.
The biggest problem I can foresee with that, and largely I agree with you, the biggest problem I can foresee with that is when you were looking at signing players last summer, when we got, for example, Thomas Partey, we were able to get Thomas Partey for 2 reasons. One, basically we paid his buyout clause, so Atletico Madrid had no choice. So we found that money from somewhere, probably Raul Sanyehi's bank account somewhere, I would imagine, or a brown envelope, allegedly. But we got him in because we forced the transfer And the reason we got him in to join us was because we sold him the Here It Comes project. And that project was, sure, we're in the Europa League this season, but we're ambitious. And next season, we're going to be back in the Champions League. What we have to do this summer is, while we have to move, as I said, we started shopping. We started in Harrods. We lowered our standards. We went to Waitrose. Then we went sort of Sainsbury's. Then we kind of went to Lidl. And now we're down to Pound Stretcher. And now we're going to have to go to, in my opinion,
Happy Shopper.
We're going to have to go to Booker's Cash and Carry, and we're going to have to dig around the bins. And we're not going to be negotiating with the top clubs in Europe now and taking some of their best players and saying, we're the Arsenal, we're this, we're that. We're going to have to go to middle range clubs, no disrespect, but you know the sort of clubs I'm talking about, not just in the Premier League, but in Europe. We're going to have to fish around the mid-table of Europe, which immediately means they're probably lesser players. And if we want to bring in the better talented players in those squads, we're going to have to pay over the odds, because those younger players are going to look at us and go, well, yeah, you might be Arsenal. And sure, I'd love to live in London and get a nice salary, and you've got pretty kits and a fab stadium and all this. That's great. But you can't offer me European football. You can't offer me Champions League football. You can't offer me European football, full stop. So I want to, I'm going to demand a lot of money. Sure, I'd be interested in joining you.
The only reason they'll come to Arsenal is money.
It's money. It was money and reputation.
How we got Partey.
Exactly. And if you think he's going to stick around for more than his contract, you're having a laugh. He'll be gone in 3 years. If we get a decent offer for him, if we get a decent offer for any of that squad this summer, they'll go. And that I don't think you can rule out any player from this squad going at this stage. I genuinely think the way we're being run at the moment, and with the, how much are we going to lose by not being in Europe next year? What revenue? I know the Europa League's only about 40 quid a season, but we're not going to get that revenue. We've lost all the money from fans and people not being in the stadiums. The fans are already, at civil war with the ownership. Whatever side of the argument you fall on that, it's not a happy place. It's one of the few times our fans have been united. It's
you
not
can
good.
see why we wanted it to be in the Super League, can't you?
Yeah, you can, mate. You can. And whether we agree with it or we don't, and I certainly don't agree with it, and it would have been soulless. I mean, the only saving grace is, but at least we haven't gone into it, because I tell you what, we'd got battered left, right, and bloody centre in that
We'd have
league.
been the first one to ask to leave.
We would have been fodder in that league. It would have been us against Spurs for the wooden spoon at the bottom every week.
We'd have been the Kuzi Lati of the European Super League.
But you can see why they went for it, because they looked at that money and thought, it's our best bloody chance at the moment. And, I think the problem you've got now as well is, especially with the Arteta situation, is it's not just his job on the line, is it? Because Edu was the man who threw his body of work behind it, and he's not going to sack himself. So he would have to come out and say, I got it wrong, which I don't think is going to happen. And the quotes from Arteta tonight worry me. They come across as quotes from a manager who's losing it again. We heard these kind of quotes earlier on in the season, and he turned it round. But those sort of quotes, when you're coming out, and I know what you say, the media is a little bit different to what you might say to your players. It's very different when you face the media and you answer those questions sort of face on after a defeat. But he's not inspiring confidence by trying to say that we're the better side and we deserve to win. No, we didn't, because we didn't create anything. We were slightly unlucky with two shots that hit the post. We didn't create anything, and at no point in that game, if we're honest, if all three of us are honest, and probably all the chat watching this now, how many of you genuinely sat down tonight and went, we're going to turn up, we're going to come out of the blocks, we're going to go all guns blazing, 2 or 3 up, and I'll ask you both of you this question. I understand the thought about being a bit conservative and not giving anything away. What's the worst that can happen tonight if we went all out attack from the first whistle and we got picked off on the break and we still needed to score 2? What's the worst that can happen? Because the thing is, if you've
shown that what he's been doing for the previous 81 games was wrong, that's the worst.
And that's where the ego thing worries me. Because if he goes out tonight and he goes for it, all guns blazing, we score early, not only are we back in the tie and essentially going through, Villarreal have to change their entire tactics.
And we know and Emery's not good at that.
Emery hasn't got a plan B. And don't get me wrong, I do think Emery's a very good coach, but he wasn't right for us. But he would have had to have attacked.
Josh brings up in the chat, we did that a lot under Wenger and got fucking beat 6-0 at Stamford Bridge. We were 8-2 at United. True. At fucking.
But we weren't going to get beaten 8-2 by Villarreal. Like we weren't going to get beaten by Villarreal.
What I will agree with you completely in the sense of, at no point tonight or even over the tie did I think we looked like scoring.
No, I agree.
Which is damning. Which is absolutely damning.
Will there be wage cuts like Josh has put there?
Yeah, because players will have in their contracts. Players will have it written. So the best person to ask about this is our Simon, because he will tell you.
But that's a good way to get players out of the club that we don't want, the big earners.
Yeah, but Danny, who's going to buy them? Who the hell is going to? Yeah, who's going to buy some of our players? You know, we're going to lose players this summer. There's a few that are going to go. I think Bellerin will go. It just seems like a natural thing. You know, there's probably discussions to be had about someone like a Calum Chambers. I like the guy, but you know, he's going to want to play at his age. You know, the goalkeeping situation has to be addressed because, you know, no offense, Bernd, if you don't want to play for us and you think you're so good, fuck off. See you later. Not interested. If you're such a good fucking goalkeeper, off you go, mate. You know, that's fine. Crack on. See you later. Bye-bye. You know, the Aubameyang thing is a little bit harsh because he's had malaria, but you know, he's been MIA all season. Let's not forget that. Not just the last few weeks. He's been MIA all season. We got contract situation with Lacazette. Whether you rate him or you don't, if you sell him, you still have to replace him. The midfield, I mean, I'm just not even going to go there. There's so many things that have to be done. And, you know, Arteta can maybe he can talk any woman or man into bed he wants, you know, metaphorically. It doesn't matter if you're going to sell a project to a player and then the minute they come through the door, play them in a defensive, just dull, you know, free-flowing footballer's style. Nobody's going to want to come and join us for that, are they? They're just not.
Like Craig has put there, I'm sure that's Craig from Same Old Arsenal. Magnificent podcast. That's on there today. Go and have a look on YouTube for 4 Men and a Mic and you'll be entertained for an hour. Or go and watch last week's one when I exclaimed, everybody loves a bit of cock. And everyone forgot to breathe. Craig says, the players down tools 2 years ago in Baku. They did. Now the players down them in the semi-final, seemingly. Arteta has to go, but these players stink. He can't put it all just down to the manager. Those players know what is right.
Mm.
They know what needs to be done. It's famously... Henri said when he was at Barcelona and playing for Pep told him to do one job. He saw things weren't working. He did another job, went off and scored, and then Pep had a go at him for doing it. That's the kind of regime that we've got with Arteta. You do as he says, or you're out. Or you might even be out anyway. Look at this. My updated, there you go, people. For the people listening at home and on the bus and on the toilet or in the bath, I've updated our back four. This is for the last 19 games, because 20 games ago we played a back five. Look how often they have been swapped around. The right backs, the central midfield, central defence pairing, all the left back stuff you can forget because that is Tierney being injured. When he's not injured, Tierney plays, so that's okay. But the centre back pairing, holding Marie, Louise, Gabriel, holding Marie, holding Gabriel, holding Marie, holding Marie, holding Gabriel, and then Louise was there for ages, but then he got injured. But then it was Louise Gabriel 3 games in a row, Louise Mari. You're thinking, surely you must have some idea of what your back. Someone said to me that not all great teams have the same lineups all the time. You don't, but great teams have decent partnerships, decent spine. We don't have that. Not one member of that team other than Leno is guaranteed to start every game this season. No one. That's shocking. The players must be thinking day before the game, I've got no idea if I'm playing or not.
And when they're in form, and players who've been in form and been dropped.
What did Chambers do wrong?
Exactly.
Today would have been the ideal opportunity. I said on Craig's show, the ideal opportunity to play Chambers at right back, and when things aren't looking good, you go from a back four to a back three with 3 centre-backs. You couldn't have done that today. We didn't have 3 centre-backs on the pitch.
Martinelli was brilliant at Newcastle, man of the match in every paper you read and every programme you watched. What's his reward? Sit on the bench. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that he didn't pick, he did pick Pepe and Odegaard and Smith Rowe. So on paper, and Saka, on paper, that is an attacking lineup. Odegaard wasn't fit tonight. He hasn't been fit for weeks. Why start him? I just play to give Martinelli his wings.
Even more damning, the fact that if it wasn't going right, he could make 5 changes.
Exactly. Yeah. When did we bring on Nketiah? Was it like 85th minute or
91st?
It was so late. I only realised he was on the pitch when he got a yellow card.
When he got a yellow card, exactly.
Well, because towards the end of the game, I started getting bored anyway. I think this is going absolutely nowhere. Zamir there in I think in New York, bit of a cheeky monkey on Twitter. I didn't realise that was him. It's been sending him a few tweets back and forth. There's names I don't remember. Pat Brady there. Saka is an auto start. Well, you would think so, but what position, Pat? That's the question. Yeah. Left back, left wing back, right back. Today he started on the right. Twice in the game they swapped over Pepe and Saka. Mm-hmm. It wasn't working no matter what he did. Oh, damn Brazil. Great teams have four or four players that play consistently, stay on the pitch. We chop and change way too much.
Yep.
So true.
Because it's a desperate manager trying to make an impact. Trying to keep players out, trying to put players in, and I
said this about Arteta. So I said this about Arteta. It's not Arteta. Emery at the end of his thing. It seems like a desperate manager trying to throw as much shit at the wall as he can and seeing what sticks. Sorry to cut you off there.
No, you're bang on. You're bang on, mate. I completely agree.
Zohirul says, I told you guys, Arteta is Rafa Benitez with a turtleneck.
without the tactical analysis and the ability to change the game,
Zamir puts here, Balogun signed a new contract yet can't get a sniff.
Exactly.
Over Eddie, who has 1 year left and is probably on his way out. Sums it up perfectly.
Ask yourself this: would Balogun, and I'm not saying he would have gone out and banged a hat trick. Would he have done any worse than a clearly half-fit Aubameyang tonight? The answer you're looking for is no. Yeah,
no,
exactly. Just off the back of a new contract, why not just? It's a very George Graham fever pitch-esque move, isn't it? But movie scripts and all that. But what would have been the harm in sticking him? Hell, if you didn't want to start him, put him on the bench.
He doesn't want him to start and score a hat-trick because then he'll look like an idiot and go, same reason you're not starting Martinelli. Had a magnificent last season.
He could have taken all the credit.
He won't know.
But if he put him in and Balogun went in today and scored, even if he scored one or he was a part of the goal or whatever, Arteta could have said, do you know what? The media would have been lavishing him and said, what a great performance, what a great sort of situation you're in, and you threw a guy in and it paid off for you tonight. And like Rudy's put in the chat there, you don't play a youngster in such a big game. Why not, Rudy? Why not, mate? Why not? Some of the best players. Who would have thought Mason Mount? Mason Mount was on loan at Derby. He's now Chelsea's best fucking player. Sometimes you've just got to put faith in these kids and put them in. Saka and Smith Rowe are our two arguably best players. They only got into this team because, as Rich very eloquently put it, we were throwing so much shit at a wall, nothing was sticking. So we went, do you know what? Fuck it. Let's put these two kids in and see what happens. Our best attacking midfielder is currently on loan at Newcastle.
Have you got to go to bed, Richard?
Yes, I do, yeah.
Do you want to go? Chris, and just carry on.
Yeah, can do, lads. You can do.
I know, you're looking like you're about to fall asleep.
Any
final words? Any final words before you go, Richard?
Final words. Unfortunately, it's looking the
way.
Have
a little cry.
It's gonna be Arteta out. Sadly,
do you
as much as I am,
who's put Arteta should be treated like he treats his players. He should be dropped.
There you go.
Yeah, it's. That's the only thing. That's my parting thing. I don't know where to go with this fucking team. It's but yeah, I think it's on its tonight. Like I said, I've said it about 3 or 4 times. I'm sorry to repeat myself. Tonight has just shaken all anything that I had in reserve for Arteta has kind of been shaken away by tonight's performance. How passive and dull it was. But hey ho. Yeah, lads, I've got to get up in the morning because I've got to be at the hospital at 8 o'clock. So yes, enjoy the rest of the show, lads.
Sorry.
You decided to play some music.
It's like exit music, that wasn't it?
All right, Richard. Thank you very much for your time. We'll see you in the WhatsApp group.
Take care, lads. See you later, mate. Bye.
So,
and then
where do we go from there, Chris? Oh, look, has he got this sorted?
Oh,
there you go. He's gone. Where do we go? Pat Brady has put less interruptions for Chris.
Yeah.
More out.
No, I just like to make a public apology to Rich. I apologise if I didn't give him as much airtime as I should have. I've been on one. I'm sorry.
But he was on a wireless connection, and so there was always a small delay. So when that happens, because he doesn't have it, his computer's not any good, so he is broadcasting from his mobile phone, and so that's why there is a delay. We talk over him occasionally. Yeah, where do we go from here?
I don't know, mate.
Starting with tomorrow morning. Do you expect any changes? Will there be? Should there be?
Yeah, there should be. I mean, again, I feel like we're repeating ourselves, but I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I like to think, and I'm sure a lot of people listening to this will disagree, and that's fine. I've got no problem with that. I like to think I know my football. I like to think I'm intelligent enough to see what works and what doesn't work. Sure, sometimes I go on little fishing trips on Twitter and I say a few things just to provoke a reaction because, it's fun. But on the whole, I'm pretty straight shooting and I sell it like I see it. And, towards the end of the Wenger era, I was very much against the people that were trying to hound him out. But at the same time, sort of understanding that maybe it was coming to that time. Under Emery, I defended him probably a lot more than a lot of people did. And looking back, probably more than maybe I should have done because I really wanted it to work. I saw his body of work at PSG and I thought there's something there. Unfortunately, I think, ultimately he lost the plot at the end. It was becoming a circus. But the problem that I have right now is that I don't see a huge degree of difference between the latter days of Emery and the current days of Arteta. I genuinely don't. And Jace, formerly of this parish, and I were having this chat, and Jace is famously outspoken, of course, but he's absolutely right when he's been saying on Twitter, this trust the process thing is one thing that people keep banging on about, and then there's the other argument that people keep on bringing up where it's like, but he's improved us, and I'm sorry, but the more I hear that, and the more I watch of us, the less I'm convinced by that argument. I think he's improved some areas of us, but I don't think those improvements are anywhere near big enough where we can say that's a clear definition. We don't have a play style. We don't have an attacking style. We don't look defensively organized consistently enough. We don't try new things. We haven't adapted our style. We don't change our tactics either pre or post game, or even during a game for that matter. His substitutions are still terrible. And again, you understand a manager takes time to learn. He's been there for 18 months now? This isn't a manager who's been in place for 5 or 6 months. This isn't a Ryan Mason situation at Tottenham. This is a guy who we basically begged Man City to let go. This is a guy who we went after and pursued heavily. And this is also a guy that we didn't give the job to when we appointed Unai Emery. So we look quite silly right now because we bent over backwards for a manager that whatever you think of him and whatever your views are, Nobody can argue he did not have the CV. He didn't. He had some ideas and he had some creative thoughts, and I'm sure he speaks very well, but ultimately too many things are not working, and the man management is, for me, one of the biggest worries I've got. And it's not just because I like French players, but the treatment of Guendouzi, to a lesser extent the treatment of Torreira, who was just farmed out without a second notice. And don't get it wrong, it didn't work for him, that's fair enough. The Saliba thing is, I mean, that on its own was almost a sackable offence for me. The way we treated that kid was just ridiculous, and that's not just Arteta. That's a club as a whole. That was embarrassing how we treated that kid. And if we lose him, we deserve it. We deserve to lose him. We do. But where do we go? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess I throw the question back to you. I mean, who's accountable? Who's he answering to? Who's asking the questions?
Just had Chemical X. You put a smiley face, so I think we are on Spotify. How's everybody enjoying ABW with absolutely no adverts? Hope you're enjoying that. Fuck YouTube while I'm at it. Cyan Vesh has a good idea. Let's talk about Elon Musk's idea of humans being multi-planetary species. Can't do that, Cy, because we fucked this planet up enough. We need something to wipe out the human race and stop us getting up and mucking up other planets. Now, there was someone who made... here we go. Claudius on Twitch. Sadly, I think they will back Arteta for next season, then sack him halfway through the next season and waste another season.
Couldn't agree more.
That sounds very much like what they will do, if anything.
We always take the piss out of that lot across the road and we say, oh, that's so Spursy.
At least they do it.
But we might as well start saying, well, that's very arsey. That's our new phrase, arsey. Because that's so Arsenal. That is exactly what we'll do, probably. And we'll get in a firefighter for a half a season and it'll end up the same way.
We've equaled the record for the most number of league losses, home losses in a season. We broke the record for the most number of games in a season where we haven't scored a goal. I think it's 10. Sometimes under Wenger, it was 1 or 2 games a season where we wouldn't score. And we're going to be our worst league position. There's only one other season where we've had a worse position than this, which was 94-95.
Yeah, remember that well.
Absolutely. Chemical X does follow us everywhere. Just trying to upsell the. He forgot. Thanks for that, Chemical X. Just put up the branding, and in case he's looking. And I haven't got the other one on this. Yeah.
Let me ask you this question, just while we're on the Spotify thing.
Yeah, go on.
Just say, and as I say, I know Josh and I are probably the only 2 people I know that are. Let me word this carefully before I get poo thrown through my letterbox. No, we're not a couple.
Oh.
We're not quite as anti-Cronky as everybody else, because we also look at the other options available and we raise an eyebrow and go, not so sure. I'll just put it like that. I'm not saying we're pro, because we're very much not. I think we both agree that we can have better ownership, but I think Josh and I are both on the same page in that we think that some people put 2 and 2 together and make 26, and they don't actually fully understand the ownership model and everything. But anyway, let's just say that Danielak and co. Actually bought the club. Just say they put in a bid tomorrow, and the Cronkies went, you know what, can't be doing with this. We're taking our ball and going home. Do you think a change of ownership would bring about a change in hierarchy? As in, would they come in and go, do you know what? Thanks, Adu, but you can crack on, and the manager can go with you, and we're gonna do things. Because typically, when a club gets bought out, that's what happens. So I mean, do you think that the Cronkies are invested in Arteta as much as Edu is? Because essentially Edu is the spokesman for those above him, isn't he? That's the kind of how it works.
Well, he says, Ecker's said that he's been an Arsenal fan for years, and if you're an Arsenal fan for years, then you know this isn't working. And one of the first things you would do is you come in and go, right, everybody out, bold, Saka. The under-23 team is horrendous. The under-18 team is horrendous, partly because, as I regularly say, the 18s have had to go to the under-23s. The under-23s now in the first team. The under-18s the other day fielded 2 14-year-olds. The under-18s. One of them scored. Very good. Double barrel surnames, as we're full of those now, because that's the thing. My own child has a double barrel. You would hope that he would go, yeah, I've been supporting Arsenal for 30 years, I think he said, and he knows what he wants. He knows the club. He'll have the advice of those three that have been very quiet. They haven't come out and gone, we don't know what you're talking about. So the kind of involvement when he says that they're on he's got their backing or whatever it is, or like Mikel Strogo. Oh, sorry, I fucked that up. He was brilliant at Monaco, and he was also brilliant at New York. Was it New York City he was manager?
I think
that's Vieira.
I was going to say, I think he's taken the piss a little bit there, and he's right, by the way. He wasn't great at Monaco.
As long as none of them are going to be manager. I mean, you look at Bergkamp at the moment, he is assistant manager for a team I've never heard of in Holland.
Didn't even know.
Vieira, he's not had anything. He was a manager of Nice, wasn't he?
He's not been in work since Nice, yeah.
Oh, dear, failures, all of them. Tony Adams, absolute failure of a manager. Paul Merson, loads of them have done it and failed. David O'Leary, debatable, did well with Leeds. But hopefully he will. Oh yeah, Josh says he was at Montreal. That was the team that he left because of COVID.
Family reasons. Yeah,
they want to come back and see his family.
Yeah.
Hopefully he will come. I mean, if he does come, he'll know what to do, and he will say everything needs changing. We're going to get rid of all the players. It'll be helped by the fact we've got no European football next season. I'm quite glad we didn't get to the final, because I don't want to be smashed in that would have been our 8th final, of which we've won 2. We've won 2 out of 7. We weren't going to make it 3 out of 8 if we would have got there. Man United showed that they can concede goals, but they showed that they can bang loads of goals in.
But you're not going to. I think there's a grill in the chat, and if it is a real grill, she's made an excellent point there. Arsenal are broken now. We need to rebuild the club. First thing we do is get a new owner. Get rid of a girl. It's Australian for girl. Come on, get rid of it.
Gotcha.
Keep Lacazette as he's got great leadership. Get rid of Aubameyang and Leno for starts. And I know some people will look at that and go, "Ooh, that's too knee jerk." Blah blah blah. But I get the point, because it's that kind of it's what I call Fantasia theory, the brush sweeping things clean. Anyone who hasn't seen Fantasia, seriously,
I don't watch cartoons. I'm an adult.
Yeah, well, you should. You do watch cartoons, just of the adult variety. Let's move on.
No.
But I mean, but there is an argument to just sort of sweep the broom and get it all clean on deck. The only problem you've got with doing that is the young players, the Hale End players, if you like, that are in this team now that have got marketable value and have sell-on value, is contracts or not. If you bring in those types of players, and you bring through a generation like Ferguson did, you can do that because you can build around what they had then, like a Roy Keane, a Gary Neville, etc. What you can't really do, though, is European football or not, you can't just get rid of all of the experienced players, just bring the kids in, make it all North London boys, and say, right, we'll start again. Because the likes of Saka and Emile Smith-Rowe will look around them and go, yeah, these are all my mates, but they're not very good. Like, I kind of want to win something. And suddenly those players actually want to go and play somewhere and actually want to be playing at a higher level. And both those two players in particular could go and play at a high level. And that's why I get a little bit, antsy when people say, oh, just get rid of Lacazette because he's not quick and he's this and he's that. And it's like, yeah, don't get it wrong. I get it. But one, you're getting rid of one of the most experienced players those younger players that we're all building our futures on have outwardly come out and said he's brilliant in the dressing room. And to be fair, they've said the same about Aubameyang. And two, you get rid of him and you replace him with who? What are you going to do? It's not like the days where we could go out and get one of the most underrated signings that we ever made was Davor Suker back in the day. Not because he tore the record books up, not because he went down in history, but because we needed a striker of experience and a winner. A guy who played at the top level in European football, played for Real Madrid, etc. And he came in at a time where we needed just that guy who would come in and get us 10, 15 goals a season.
Wasn't that the season after Anelka left?
Yeah, when we
had
needed
him for a season. I was looking at that a couple of days ago, oddly. And the season before he joined Arsenal, Real Madrid, then Real Madrid the season before that, I think he was top goal scorer. And I think they might have won the Europa League or the European Cup or the Champions League. I don't know what it's called.
Wasn't it the year we got to the final in Turkey and lost to Galatasaray? In Denmark, lost to Galatasaray. Wasn't that the same season? Might have been.
I can't remember, but I remember looking at it and thinking, bloody hell, he was only with us for a season and we let him go to West Ham. But he came in and did the job.
Yeah, and it was that era. And the other problem you've got right now is, you're not going to go out and find an Eduardo from Dynamo Zagreb anymore. Those players don't exist anymore. You're not going to go and get a player of his quality out of the Croatian league. The closest you'd get to that right now is someone like Odsonne Edouard at Celtic, who I really like, but he's not proven at the top level. He's proven at a fairly good level in European games with Celtic, but he's not like, he's not final piece of the jigsaw, which is essentially why we've signed Bellerin. But my concern is if you go into next season with potentially Lacazette in the final year of his contract, so naturally the motivation is going to be lower because it just naturally is. You've got Aubameyang who, clearly needs a good rest and a good summer, which he will get obviously because he's not in the Euros. And then you need to be bringing through the likes of Bellerin. But that's a lot of pressure on a young lad. So, I mean, there's just so many holes and there's so many gaps. And like I said at the very start of this podcast, and I know we've gone over it time and again, but just tonight just proves to me that he isn't. I don't think he's capable of doing this job to the level that we feel that we should be at, and the level that this squad should be at. If this squad was sort of 5th or 6th, we'd be like, do you know what? All right, yeah. I kind of get it, but we're not. We're 10th. We're fighting out with Leeds and who else is around us? I don't even know. Like some other
Brighton, Southampton.
Well, I mean,
Newcastle aren't far away.
Exactly.
In the last years, Leicester and Everton have overtaken us.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
at least Spurs have still not won anything,
and they never will. But that's fodder, isn't it? I mean, that will always be the case. But.
Shannon has said something to make you happy. Lacazzette's been one of our best players this season. It's very true.
He has. And he's been one of our best players throughout the course of this season in arguably his worst season. So what does that tell you? And the one thing he'll always give you is he'll try. And to be fair, someone like Granit Xhaka will always give you that. He'll always try. The quality's not always there, but he'll try.
And Villa have caught us. West Ham have overtaken us. Mr. Waffles can say get foreigners out of football because he's American.
Did we lost? No. Am I right in saying we lost home and away to Villa, and we lost home to Burnley? We lost. Did we lose home and away to Wolves?
Probably. We lost so many games. It's easier to list who we have beaten, which isn't a very long list. We've beaten the bottom 4 teams quite convincingly. That's always a positive. That's something Wenger regularly couldn't manage, beating the shit teams.
And now we're finally turning up against the top clubs in one-off games. I mean, there's just so much, isn't there? There's so much to do, and there's so many things that are broken right now. And I if I'm Arteta tonight, I'm just looking at the wall and thinking, where the hell do I go from here? Because he's used up all the excuses.
Go on Twitter or watch our podcast. We'll tell you what to do. How comes our Josh is there all night? Is he doing a big poo or having a bath or something?
He might be in the bath, yeah. He might,
if you are in the bath, happy birthday, Josh.
Is it his birthday?
I don't know. Well, he's had a bath, hasn't he?
Oh, I see what you've done there.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you kept that quiet.
Mohar Max says it's better to watch Arsenal women team. They are Vivian Miedema and Danielle van der Vonk, and all the rest of them are all brilliant. Just hopefully Miedema doesn't go to Lyon in the summer, which she probably will if she gets a chance because they are magnificent. Chelsea have just won the Women's League. Didn't we do the double over United? Josh says we beat them and drew with them, and we're not playing them again.
Maybe Celtic and Rangers want to come down to the Premier League, don't they? Maybe we could go up to Scotland. Maybe that's the way forward. Perhaps we could. I quite fancy Arsenal St Mirren home and away. That should be quite fun for a season or two.
People are saying that by that Eduardo, the French, the young striker at Celtic, if you're a decent striker and you're playing for Celtic in that dog and pony league, if you don't get 50 goals a season, you ain't going to make it in the Premier League. So don't bother. He's never going to make it at the moment.
I'm not. I think if you're good enough, it doesn't matter what league you're playing in. If your quality shines through, I mean, look at Tierney. Like, okay, yeah, he played it in Celtic. Certain players, it doesn't work for. Shane Duffy went up from Brighton to Celtic and has been absolutely trash, and has basically been binned out by Celtic because he couldn't cut it in the Scottish League. So it doesn't always work like that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the Scottish League is good. It's clearly not very good. But there are certain players that I think could probably make the transition down. There's been a few over the years, haven't there? Like who've come down and been very, very good. So
here's a question. Michael has put why is Kieran Tierney in his picture wearing a light blue shirt?
It's the Why Always Me Balotelli shirt. It's
Balotelli. Is it Monza in Serie B? Along with Kevin Prince Boateng?
Yeah.
Yes. He is. I said, did we just need to win tonight to get Champions League football next season as United are second in the Premier League? That is a question for Josh.
No, I don't believe so. No, I think because that would have been all over the media. I'm pretty sure we had to win it. I don't think that's. I don't think that's the case.
Lossless is here. Hello, James. All right. It's been a while. He's got a baby. Been keeping him busy. Haven't seen you on Twitter much.
And what a time to be alive! Like we're absolute trash, and another team in England is guaranteed to win the Champions League, and a team managed by Ole Gunnar bloody Solskjaer is probably going to win the Europa League. I mean, what a time to be alive with all these English clubs leaving us behind. Although I have to say, it would be kind of funny if Unai Emery wouldn't have won it with Villarreal now, wouldn't it?
Oh, that's who. In the two finals, who are you cheering for? I'm cheering for Giroud and Villarreal.
Well, I'm hoping that the Champions League final just doesn't get played because I can't cheer for either of those two. And grudgingly, I'd actually rather see Chelsea win it than City, just so I can laugh at City again.
And Giroud will get that trophy.
But as for Europa League is absolutely no question. I will cheer for Francis Coquelin's boys all the way. So.
Come on, Unai.
Come on, Unai. If you do one good thing for Arsenal, win the tournament with Villarreal.
We did have some questions that I've been trying to make a note of. Loki73 said, do you think, like myself, that this team is suited for Rafa? No.
It's suited for the bin, Rudy, is what it's suited for. But,
we've got so many attacking players, and Rafa is not an attacking manager. He would want a team full of defensive players, but we're suited to someone who likes to play.
I think he'd make us a better team, but we wouldn't be better to watch. That would be what I'd say to that. I actually think he probably would get us. I think he would probably get us a lot more stable, a lot more organised.
Is that what we need at the moment?
Well, I would argue it probably is. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, in order to get to where we want to be, maybe we do have to take a few steps back. And let's not forget, when Arteta came in, that's exactly what we did, wasn't it? We played this counter-attacking, particularly against the big sides. We shithoused our way to that FA Cup final, didn't we? By beating Man City with like 3% possession and one shot on target and winning 1-0. That's kind of what we did. We did the same in the final. So we beat Liverpool in the Charity Shield by playing that way. Man United in the league by playing that way. We were very much like that low block, sit in, protect at all costs, and score on the counter through Aubameyang. That was our blueprint. And then it's almost like Arteta went, "Oh, okay, well, now I'm going to sort of go away from that. I'm not going to make us any more attacking, but I'm going to play with reckless abandon and just completely ignore the midfield, play players in all sorts of positions, rotate the team every single week, and not have any stability anywhere." So, I mean, yeah, I do wonder. And someone like Benitez isn't going to stay out of work for long, is he? So, yeah, I don't know. I think his name will come up a lot more in the next few months because he's out of work completely, isn't he? He's left the Chinese club, so.
I think that Chinese club no longer exists.
Well, there you go.
There was the champions were dissolved, and one other club was dissolved, and they had all of their links with companies taken away.
Oh, that was the club that Hamsik was with, and he went to play in Sweden instead, didn't he?
Yeah, to get fit for the Euros, I think it was.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah. Okay.
Villarreal have done a very, very cheeky tweet. Thanks to Femi for putting it in the chat. So I've been a bit quiet.
A very good evening or something like that.
Yeah, you're not far wrong. Here we go. Bing bong, just uploading it. Oh, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, good evening.
Good evening. For those people at home, they've missed a chance there, haven't they? They've missed an opportunity.
For those people at home, the official Twitter from Villarreal says, "Good evening, UEL, es nuestro momento." I don't know what that means. And then there's Unai Emery wearing a white shirt with his elbows on a tactics board with all the little dime things on it, and it says Unai Emery Masterclass CV. Yeah, well done.
I probably wouldn't. I was going to say I probably wouldn't go so far as to say masterclass. They didn't have to do a lot really, other than sit back and watch us pitifully play the ball around our back four in the centre circle. But yeah, credit where credit's due. The man does bits in this competition, unless of course he's managing Arsenal when it all comes crashing down around him. But yeah, I mean, credit where credit's due. They came with a game plan and they said, "What have you got?" And we went, "Nothing, Gov." So
Mr. Epic put in there was one from Avon, but we've covered that. Mr. Epic, how many players are going to leave now? And when Joshua Page asked if Arteta was sacked, who would you bring in? We've also covered about that. I don't know who I'd bring in. I have no idea about these managers. Someone did say the manager of Atalanta in Italy, you're going to get goals. He smashed the goal scoring record for I think 2 or 3 seasons in a row there. Can't defend for shit. But when you've got a team like ours full of attackers, it's going to be good. It's going to be goals.
Have we got a team full of attackers? I would debate that a little bit.
Well, players who put down on their CV they're a striker. Yeah.
Gasparini's. I don't think that'll happen. I think he's getting up there in age as well. I think that would be a bit of a. It wouldn't be a long-term project. I will find out how old he is, but I don't think.
Allegri going back to Juventus. Josh said it earlier, and Josh Page has said it here.
Yeah, it seems like that's pretty much.
He said 2 years out, and now it's going back.
Gasparini was born a day after me, not the same year. He's 63. Yeah, that's not going to happen, is it? I don't think personally. Hansi Flick, a few people have said as well, because obviously he's leaving the German national team. So I can think of worse coaches to sit on the bench and scratch their nuts for 45 minutes. I mean, wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, would it? Just
but Albury's shit.
I think that's a little harsh, but
he had a good game tonight, considering he's lost half a stone and was breathing out of his arse for 3 or 4 days.
I think good's a stretch, if I'm honest. But
had a couple of good chances.
Yeah,
shame he can't jump.
Yeah. Well, he can't jump or head the ball, but yeah, I mean that's yeah.
Don says he wants Conte. Well, Conte's not leaving Inter Milan, is he? He's out there to prove a point.
Yeah, and the guy is a serial winner. He has no interest in clubs like ours.
And he's done that with a load of Man United pensioners.
And you think our board is bad now? Imagine Conte throwing his weight around. Jesus Christ, that would last 3 minutes before he was out the door. Our board wouldn't like that.
No, he wouldn't. Well, that's been nearly 2 hours. Do you think we should shut up and go away now for a half-hour show?
I think we've exercised some demons between us, haven't we? It's basically been a podcast, hasn't it? We've literally talked about the game for 3 minutes and then just gone off on one. But it's been therapeutic, So
Chandler's bringing up about should Ozil have gone. He's had 9 games with Fenerbahce and not scored a goal, not got an assist, not got a pre-assist, and only once has he averaged above 7 as a rating. That man is done. If you can't do it in the Donkey League, you can't do it anywhere.
Yeah, he had to go, unfortunately. Too much was going on off the pitch and on the pitch for my liking. But, such is life.
They'll probably get rid of him at the end of the season.
Don't worry, though. It'll be fine because Szczesny's coming back in the summer. Aaron Ramsey said that he's open to leaving Juventus. We're getting the band back together. It's only a matter of time before we bring the likes of Fabian Caballero and Stefan Maltz out of retirement. Alberto Mendes will be the manager. Ali Adier still with one knee, he'll be fine. Kolo Touré will manage the dietary supplements.
Kolo Touré's selling used cars. He's got an account on here.
Isn't he on the Leicester coaching staff still?
I think he is. He follows Rodgers around everywhere.
He works under Rodgers. Okay. But But no, I mean, it's season's over, Dani. We've got 4 games left, and I could not give a shit about any of them.
Well,
we've still got to play Chelsea. That's going to be fun, isn't it?
Don't really expect us to do any more post-game shows. We're probably
not any shows ever again.
Yeah, we got West Brom at home, Chelsea away, Palace away, Brighton at home. Don't give a fuck about any of those. We've Arsenal has officially killed us.
We could relegate Sam Allardyce though. That would be a small bonus, I guess.
Yes, we've been talking about next season not doing any more post-game shows because, quite frankly, it's can't be bothered. We don't like it. YouTube has fucked us over, and so there's no enthusiasm or incentive to try and do more stuff. And we're thinking of going old school, going back to the way we used to do it. One podcast, not live. We can do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday now, Chris. It doesn't matter what
we can pick any day we like, yeah.
Back to Thursdays, which is always a good thing. So that's probably the way we're going to go next season. After that, we don't know, but we're just going to go old school. You've got plenty of choice for live shows out there, and it's just a lot easier for us. It's a lot cheaper for us.
We could just say to our listenership, while we've got this brief moment, we could just say, like, we haven't decided 100%, but it's nothing against you guys and girls who tune in. We love it to bits, but it's a bit of a saturated market. And the truth is, we've all got, Dani's lazy, does nothing, but the rest of us have all got jobs and life and stuff. And we just sort of, we want to try and get our love for it back. We, as much as we enjoy entertaining you guys and, chatting Arsenal and stuff, it's been a bit tough the last, I would argue, 18 months, 2 years, but particularly this season with everything that's gone on in the world and that it's not been fun always to podcast, if we're completely honest. And some of us, me included, have lost a bit of interest in not only the team, but in the whole of sort of football as a whole. And we just sort of think that maybe it's time for us to go back to, we'll always do a podcast, don't worry, but maybe we just sort of feel like we might change it and go back to the old ways and do one a week. And like Dani said, there's a lot of other podcasts out there that do live reaction shows, some very good ones, and I'm not going to lie, some pretty fucking awful ones. But the choice is yours, You listen to who you like, and some of you will tune in because you like us. Some of you will tune in just because you don't like us, and that's why you tune in, and we love you too. But we're going to get together in the summer and have a look at it and see where we are. But we're thinking that it would be quite cool to go back to the old days a bit, and maybe start it afresh and come back when we're under the leadership of, I don't know, whoever the hell's in charge.
Well, I was thinking, I was doing podcasts in 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So this is my 10th actual year, not 10 years, but 10th year that I have done podcasting, and coming up for the best part of 900. I don't even count anymore.
And I bet you've got them all on file somewhere, haven't you?
Yeah. No, I used to all the ones I guested on, but there's so many now, and it's
you're a celebrity these days. You don't need to keep your back catalogue. Your name precedes itself. But
it's just nice to just reset, go back to how we used to do things. You never know, a North London derby might do a post game show or do the odd live special, or like we used to. Just make it a lot easier. And it's also, if we don't do them live, then that makes it easier for everybody else to come on, because then we don't have to do it at 7:30, 8 o'clock. We can do it maybe one afternoon, do it the day before. Or anything like that. It just makes our lives a lot easier. Plus, it will save us money. We're not paying for StreamYard next season. We're not paying. I think we can get away with not paying for SoundCloud. So that's it.
At the end of the day, any of you that have tuned in tonight, God bless you, because it can't have been easy. We're all in therapy together, boys and girls. But at the end of the day, we do this free of charge. We don't, as Dani said, we try and avoid adverts. We don't sort of monetize anything. Yes, we have taken donations in the past, but we do that if people want to do it, there's no pressure from anybody. And all we do with that is we pay for my stripper addiction, Dani's porn collection, and the hosting. That's it. So, and John's VD checkups, obviously they're important as well. But other than that, we don't gain out of doing it on a monetary basis, whereas some people do run things as a business, and fair play to them. That's their choice. But as a result, it's their full-time job. It's not ours. It's just it's a as I said, it's a therapy session for us, and it's a group of mates who just like talking football. And yeah, Chemicals put in the chat, miss Jeff. We miss Jeff. We don't know where Jeff is. Worried about him tonight.
He's a man with many phones, and I did send him a message to ask him if he was free last week. Still haven't got a reply. He's in our WhatsApp group, but he doesn't read it. He's better than that. I
think the thing with Jeff as well is he'd normally be at games, so he'd probably be on podcasts more because he'd be going to games. But obviously, with this pandemic, he's not been able to be at games as much. So but yeah, we'll still be here. Don't worry, we're not going anywhere. We're just sort of thinking about how can we reinvent it. And we started the whole live show craze, didn't we, Dani? Let's give ourselves some credit here.
First, we were one of the first one to have listeners live for the transfer deadline day ones. The first post-game live show. I think we were the first ones to utilise YouTube, and we've helped many other podcasts, and they've gone on and blossomed, which is good to see. And as you can see, you see me in the chat for most of those. People asking what's happened to Jason. Football sent him mad, and me and him disagreed on stuff. And he's a very angry man. I couldn't take much more of it. Imagine if he'd have been here this season.
I can well imagine Jay smashing the shit out of his flat right now. I might message him in a minute and see what he has to say. I can imagine him setting light to anything in Cardiff that he can find right now. God bless him. But no, we're most of us still chat to Jason. Life is what life is. Sometimes people just move on and do their own things, and that's the way life is. But no, we're all mates. So don't worry. There was no kill put out or anything like that. No hit put out.
Barramundi has just subscribed. Thank you very much. That's also another thing. YouTube doesn't promote us to anybody, and not that subscribers and numbers don't really mean anything if you're not making money from it, which we don't really. And so, yeah, just need a bit of a easy time. We need to bring back the fun of doing shows and constantly doing live ones. And I went for a while a couple of months ago trying to see affect the YouTube algorithms by doing more shows I enjoyed doing, but then I just got so much work. I thought, I'm not going to play the YouTube game, keep chasing it. Tried it for 6 weeks, didn't work. Fuck it.
I can't actually remember the last time I was a guest on another podcast. It's been that I've been that miserable. Nobody's interested in hearing me whinge on other podcasts anymore. So
you did your own one. The hipsters, they were back. Was it 2,000 views you had?
Yeah. Which
bloody good.
Pretty good. And we're definitely going to come back and do some more. I think I speak for us all when I say it'd just be nice to have kind of normal football back with fans and 3 o'clock kickoffs and all that goes with it. So yeah, there you go. I think that's as good a place to leave it as any, really, isn't it?
Yeah, there you go. That's just over 2 hours. Meant to be a half-hour show. Yabbering on. Well, it's might as well make a good deal of it. I don't know if we'll be back Sunday. I don't know if we'll do any more live shows for the rest of the season because I don't care. You don't care. Arteta doesn't care. The owner doesn't care. The players don't care. And that's it.
We'll do a podcast. We'll commit to doing the normal podcast each week. Just maybe not anything on top.
Look at that. Al Bagunaret. I don't message, but I always watch. I love you guys. Well, we love you too.
Thank you very much. That's very kind. Without you guys, we are literally worse than nothing.
Oh, there you go. J House Media says him and his brother do a podcast called Q the Football. Well, there you go. It goes on his radio station, Radio Q Camberley. So go and have a look.
The cat's just on my keyboard. Love that.
Well, we don't want to do that.
No.
Well, we're going to go. We could waffle on again all night. There you go, James. Say hello to the little man for me. And why don't you care anymore? Do you? We don't care anymore, do you?
There you go. There you go.
Great way to end the show.
We don't care, do you? Then what a way.
There you go, from Pat Brady. Right, thank you very much, everybody. We will maybe back next week. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe the next announcement when Arteta's fired, then we can come back and have a little chit chat about that. But until then, that's it, really. Thank you very much for joining me tonight, Chris. It's been we all started yesterday and we're finishing today.
You're welcome, mate. Yeah, I knew it was a bad idea when I said I'd come on at last minute notice. I knew it was not going to end well, but hopefully we've all got through this together.
Right, and don't know when we'll be back, but you be nice to each other. That's it. That's all you need to worry about, and we will see you sometime in the future. Oh, lovely. Bye.
Fuck Ellis.